So we're talking about Joe Whitt Jr. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. This podcast is dedicated to the Washington Commanders from a fan's point of view. You can catch this podcast at any of your favorite outlets. Well, soon to be, but we will get into that a little bit later. Make sure you have subscribed to this channel. And when you do, also make sure you hit that notification bell so you will not miss any other video releases on YouTube. So, Joe Whitt Jr., it's taken me a couple of days to get back into releasing these podcasts, but I did want to talk about Joe Whitt Jr. We talked about Cliff Kingsbury, and I had a title of Cliff Kingsbury's the second coming of Joe Gibbs, and people just lost their minds. They were like, "How dare you? That's sacrilegious." But it really it goes to show you how many people actually watch the video or listen to the podcast and just kind of want to comment based on title alone. And I made that statement, and then the follow-up question was, so you don't think he is? And I'm like, you got to understand the point of view that I was coming from with this is the fact that you got an innovative offensive mind coming in who basically the comparison was he is talking about molding his offense and adding different parts of his, not just it's going to be his theories and that's it, but it's going to be based on, number one, what type of talent you have here, how you can best utilize that talent, and also um, how innovative he can be with adding different wrinkles in his offense. We talked about his offense being air raid, but it's not really a true air raid when you get down to it. He's going to focus a lot on running the football as well. And those were the parallels that I caught with Joe Gibbs, because when Joe Gibbs came in and they were 0-5, he was basically running that Air Coryell offense, similar, right? I mean, they're passing the ball around, they're scoring points, but they're not winning football games. And John Riggins came in and he was like, you need to give the ball to me more, and that spoke volumes. And so Joe Gibbs wound up kind of redoing his offense, so to speak, and they became more of a run centric offense, and it really started winning them football games. Now, of course, this was the early 80s. We got to think about what's going to work in today's football. But that was really my whole parallel between Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Gibbs, was the fact that he's not going to be the type that's going to come in and be like, this is the style of offense, you're either fit or you don't. He's going to look at the talent he has, and he's going to try to fit in offensive plays that is going to fit what these players do best. And that was honestly the biggest parallel. But yeah, I know how people are. They read a title and they're not going to, they're going to make their comments based on title alone. Anyway, but this video is not about, of course, Cliff Kingsbury. It's about Joe Whitt Jr., the comments they made in his press conference last week about how they're going to be violent. They want to violently run, basically running toward the ball carrier, and this is kind of shades of Greg Williams, right? Because Greg Williams, when he was here, he harped on gang tackles and making sure that there's not just like, one person trying to take down the ball carrier. Everybody meets at the ball carrier. And there was shades of EB. I think, in his press conference where he's talking about, um, you're, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically, you're either with it or you're not. Um, so there's a little bit on that side of the football. It seems like, you know he's going to instill more of a, you need to you basically need to get with the program or get out. And but at the same time, he also mentioned, 3-4 versus 4-3. Said it doesn't really matter. Most defenses kind of run out of both bases, so to speak. So it's not like the olden days where you're a full fledged 3-4 defense and that's all you're going to be. And there may be a few wrinkles thrown in there, but basically that's what you're going to have to attend with, is a 3-4 defense. But nowadays, if you really take a look at it, honestly, there's a lot of defenses that mix in a lot of that. Um, so it's going to be a defense that is going to be versatile. And I think, again, you're probably going to have that side of the ball focusing on, okay, what type of players do we have? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What can we do to put them into the best situation to succeed? And I think that that is a refreshing way to go, because you can be hard nosed to a certain extent. And I think Joe Witt Jr. is going to be hard nosed enough to where he's going to be like, you need to tackle. You need to not just run up and try to do the ESPN highlight hit, but you need to actually wrap these guys up. You need to make sure that they think twice when they come into your side of the field. He's going to institute a lot of that, but I think at the same time they're going to look at who they have on defense, how to best utilize them as well. And I think that's a great approach. I mean, honestly, we are getting, and there's one other thing I wanted to touch on that he touched upon, was the fact that he said, you look at Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, um, he molded his defense differently each place he went. So it wasn't like when he went to Atlanta, it wasn't the Seahawks defense. It was more of an Atlanta defense. When he went to Dallas, it was, he kind of molded into its own thing. It wasn't it wasn't the Seahawks defense. It wasn't the Atlanta defense. It was something that was instituted to fit the talent that Dallas had on defense. And so we're expecting the same thing here in Washington, because there's a diverse group of coaches that have been hired that have come from different aspects of defensive play. And so they want to try to get all those guys together to kind of mold it into something else. And I think that's very genius. People will keep their reputation based on, this is the style that I run, and it's just going to have to work. And I think the best coaches in the league traditionally are the ones who are able to, um, you know, transcend and to evolve their style of offense or defense into something else to make it more unique, to always, have a fresh wrinkle into it. So, to keep the defenders or whoever, off balance. And I think that's what you need to have if you're going to succeed in this NFL. And so I'm very excited with Joe Witt Jr. I think that we got the right guy for defensive coordinator. Of course, it's always going to come down to how are the players going to play when it comes to the season. That's the big bulk of it. But overall, I'm happy. I hope you guys are happy. I think we've got a solid coaching staff in place. And folks, it's I'm excited already, and it's only February. We got until August before we can really start seeing this new Washington Commanders team in progress here. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, give it a share. Again, listen to these podcasts anywhere where you get your favorite podcasts. With that said, I will see you in the next one.